So now, sorry, Commissioner Tornga, can we turn it over to you?
Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Fantastic. Good morning. Good morning from your entire Dunedin City Commission and from the entire city staff. It is really an honor to be on the program today with the DCO, and today especially when they're featuring baseball. This organization, DCO, as well as the Chamber of Commerce and the DVMA and basically all of the organizations within Dunedin have always honored that relationship and honored the Blue Jays as a team. And the Blue Jays have reciprocated and have done exactly the same. They've honored us with a world-class team and with just a great world-class team of managers that head up that organization. One of them, for example, would be Shelby. Shelby, by the way, not only works here and runs the organization, but in fact is a very active member of our community. I just wanted to give two updates since we're talking about baseball. The state-of-the-art player development center is in full effect, fully activated, and I know Shelby's very proud of that. That's ready to go, as well as the new Dunedin Stadium that we have had the opportunity to sit in and watch ball games at, and including for spring training. So we're set there. Last night, your commission, after an in-depth review, approved or gave approval for a development agreement, which means for the J Hotel, which is going to be on the Causeway, for them to move forward to make a presentation to us, going through the design review and all of the other elements that have to take place before we end up with a hotel. And so we call it second reading, but let's just call it final approval for our conversation. And so this would lead to a hotel of 68 rooms on the Causeway for the players, the Toronto players, for that organization. And it will mostly be occupied by the players. And that puts them here in Dunedin, working and playing in Dunedin. And it was just a great accomplishment. And I think we're all really happy with it. It worked out really great, 68 rooms again. And we're very proud of that. And I know the Blue Jays are as well. I would suspect that you will see the most rapidly developed and built facility once it's approved. It has to go through all the approval levels now, but I'll bet you that will be done in probably as short as 18 months from today, which would be a record, but we'll see what happens with that. By the way, Shelby, you still there?
Yes, I'm still there, but you're stealing my whole speech later.
Oh, Shelby, I'm so sorry, but listen.
You're doing way better.
No, I just wanted to point out that last night I stayed up really late oiling my baseball glove, and just in case you still have that player coach position open. By the way, I'll be home all weekend, and you got my number.
My son does have a Little League tournament this weekend.
Anyway, that's just a quick update on the Blue Jays, and we're really pleased and really happy, and I'm really proud to be on this session with y'all. Speaking of our opportunity to talk together, my time is really short here. So speaking about water, just real quick, our osmosis plant, reverse osmosis plant, is up and running now. So we all have the greatest water, the top water in the area and in the community. The water tower that we normally look at while we're there at the club, when we're at the club, will be the painting will begin on that. The artist will begin on that, and we'll have turtles on that tower very soon. I would suspect that could start within the next week or two. There is work being done on the tower at this point in time, but not from an artist standpoint. So, third of all, some of you have wondered about some of the boats that we've had wash up on shore. The sheriff has taken control of that, and as of Monday, we'll start to see some of those boats being escorted from our area. Just a couple real quick comments. We did a topping off on the city hall. That means, let's just call it, we put the last big steel on top of the building, and so the expectations are that the city will be moving into that in September, and on October 15 there'll be a presentation for all involving that. Two things: ARP, the American Rescue Plan. We had 3 meetings with residents, and on February 8th we met, and we've come to some conclusion of how we wish to spend that money. Just for your reference, that's $18.3 million to the city of Dunedin. The county has approximately $200 million in their coffers to spend on that. You can go on the internet and see what some of the presentations are, and let me just sum this up by saying that I really want to make sure that we're all aware of the fact that we have DunedinGov.com, DunedinGov.com. And if you're not familiar with that, please do become familiar. Everything I'm saying here is on that now, and it's a great opportunity and great presentation of what's happening in Dunedin. Specifically, if you went on it today and probably for the next 3 weeks, you'll immediately see an opportunity to give citizen and resident input. And that is input so that we can see how you feel we're doing on the positive side in any areas that you feel that we need improvement on. So would really appreciate, particularly if this group were to dial in as soon as possible and fill that out, but also to use DunedinGov.com to find out what's happening in your community. You can find out pretty much everything on there. You just have to wander around just a little bit. So with that said, thank you for the opportunity to talk with you this morning. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day. Love the DCO. Peace.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. The city reports are always a highlight. Next up on the agenda, we have our spotlight, and I think it's a great segue actually that we did the invocation preceding this spotlight. So we have with us members of the 3 Rotary clubs of Dunedin, but I'm going to turn it over to Beverly Fisher to talk about a very special project that these 3 clubs have been working on together for the past several months that will come to fruition on February 23rd. So Bev, take it away.
Oh, thank you, Dina. And thanks, John, for the wave and for saying peace at the end. And David for the word hope, which peace is related to. We are going to be doing a tag team approach by the 3 clubs this morning. I'm going to start out, kind of frame things and give the rationale why a peace pole at this time. And then Sherry's going to, representing, of course, Rotary North, will be talking about the specifics of how it started and a little bit more than that, of course. And then Mike Rooney, who's current president of Waterside, the Waterside Club, will be wrapping it up for us and kind of pulling everything together and giving us the specifics of time, date, and what's going to be happening when you come, hopefully when you come to the event on the 23rd, as Dina mentioned. Well, I wanted to start out by just giving you a little bit of the rationale. You know, most of you know that Rotary International has a focus of promoting peace and goodwill throughout the world. But it's too easy to think that others out there in the world need a reminder of peace, but not us. Not us in delightful Dunedin. We wouldn't need a reminder of peace or a symbol of peace, but not so. And why? Well, because number one, we are world citizens, every one of us. So we all need to be thinking of peace. Number two, peace is more than the absence of violence. It's creating stability in an environment, in a community, and resilience. And you probably do that through your organizations daily by building people up. We are peace builders, every one of us. And lastly, number three, peace is action. It's action through service to others, something you and your organizations do every day. So the 3 Rotary clubs of Dunedin partnered with the city, especially the Department of Parks and Recreation, to make peace more than just a concept by providing the most recognized symbol of peace in the world, and that's a peace pole. I want to mention the members of the committee because we worked so hard the last 8 months to make this happen. I'm lucky enough to be the chairperson, and I'm from Rotary Club of Dunedin. Sherry, of course, I've introduced, and Mike, and Larry Franklin, our current president of Rotary Club of Dunedin, and Dina, your very own Dina Hurst, also part of Rotary Club of Dunedin. And then we have Linda Crystal and Donna Llewellyn, and last but not least, Wendy Barmore, who is not only on our committee, but will be our MC for the evening, for the event. It's a dedication and it's a ceremony, and we hope that we will see all of you. You will join us in this very special time for our community of Dunedin. Sherry?
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. I just want to give a little history of the Peace Pole Project. The Peace Pole Project was started in Japan by one man, Masahisa Gori. Excuse my pronunciation if I didn't do it correctly. After witnessing the devastation caused by World War II and the dropping of the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Masahisa Gori dedicated himself to the attainment of global peace and harmony. He looked around and thought there should be a monument or a symbol of peace that meant something, not only for World War II, but for all subsequent events that might need to be looked at through the lens of peace in the future. The message, "May peace prevail on earth," came to him in 1955 in a moment of great inspiration and deep prayer. Peace poles inscribed with this message began to appear across Japan. This was the beginning of the Peace Pole Project, which first came to the United States in 1986, the International Year of Peace. Today, over 200,000 peace poles have been planted on every continent around the world and dedicated by people like Mother Teresa in Calcutta, President Carter at the Carter Center, and many more that I'm sure you would know their names. We hope this encourages our city, the Rotary clubs, and residents to think of ways to celebrate peace every year during Rotary's Peace and Conflict Resolution Month, which is in February. And you can also go online and see that our peace pole has been registered. Thank you, Bev, for doing that. And I went on just to verify that there was a peace pole on every continent, and you can actually rotate the globe to see how many peace poles there are. And there are some down at the South Pole. I believe there are 2 on that continent. And there's even 2 in Russia, because I wanted to see if Russia had peace poles, and they do. So ours is now registered, and it's called Imagine Peace. And Bev registered it, and you can see it online. I believe that's it, unless I looked up the website for the online. I think it's, do you know what it is? I had written it down somewhere. I think it's worldpeace.org. And then you just look up peace-pole- do you know, Bev?
Not off the right. Yeah, I think you have that first part.
I think you did have it right there, Sherry. And
here's
just to wrap it up, this is Mike Rooney. I'm president of the Dunedin Waterside Group. Thank you all very much for having us on today. And I just can't think of a better time in current global events to celebrate world peace and do our part in the world to commemorate it. So we would really ask that you all join us and come take part this coming Wednesday, February 23rd at 6 o'clock. We will start promptly at 920 Pinehurst Road, right at the community center there in Dunedin. And join us for this celebration of world peace. And come see all that we are going to be commemorating. There'll be music, there will be the history, the past, present, and future of Rotary's part in promoting world peace. And it's also a great moment for the dignitaries of Dunedin themselves. The mayor will be there to speak. Pastor David Scheller will be speaking on social justice. There'll be a proclamation read. We'll have bagpipers out there. It's really going to be something. And it really is a great event to come out and really show out for Dunedin. So we would really ask that everybody comes out and comes to join us and celebrates Dunedin itself as well. So thank you all for having us, and join us at 6 p.m. this Wednesday at the Dunedin Community Center. Thank you very much, guys.
Great. Thank you, Bev, Sherry, and Michael. So we will move now to the program portion. We appreciate you sharing these details on the Peace Poll. It's been quite a fun project to be part of, and a nice community-wide project as well. And another community-wide initiative, of course, is always the Toronto Blue Jays. So Victor Lucas, our second VP, Vice President, I'm going to turn it over to you just to give a little intro to the program.
Thank you, Dina. Good morning, team. There are many things, as we all know, that are delightful about Dunedin, but one of my favorites is the Blue Jays organization. This morning, Kathy Beckman, Senior Manager of TD Ballpark Baseball Business Operations, and Shelby Nelson, Director of Florida Operations, will bring us a message. Typically, this is one of our better attended meetings, and I think from Larry's reaction today, it's again at the top, even virtually. Pastor Sheila talked about this expression of hope, and I want to continue that theme, as I'm personally hopeful that we will have a spring training season, and hopefully Kathy and Shelby can give us some more insight into that, reason to be hopeful. Thank you. So I'll turn it over to Kathy or Shelby, I think, Kathy, you're going first.
Morning, everyone. Thanks for the warm welcome. So I'm going to kick it off, and then Shelby's going to come in at the end and give you guys some exciting news that we have coming up in 22. But I just wanted to take this time to kind of give you guys an inside look into what our organization, our players, our staff, our fans has gone through over the past 18 months. A little inside look into all the things Blue Jays baseball. So as you know, 2021 was kind of a crazy year for us. We played in 3 different homes for our regular season baseball due to the Canadian border being closed. So that just gives you some context of where I'm going. I'm going to give a recap of 21 and then Shelby can speak to 22. So it was 670 days from the last time the Blue Jays played a regular season at Rogers Center in the 2019 season until July 30th of 2021, when they got back to Toronto to play at Rogers Center. So in between those 670 days, we did have baseball, although it was different. And I want to take you through that journey of what those 670 days were. So in March of 2020, we opened our beautiful renovated ballpark, which hopefully all of you have been to. And we kicked off 2020 spring training. On March 13th of 2020, we were officially shut down along with the rest of the world for COVID. And just a side note, I was actually on maternity leave for that time. I came back on a Sunday, I believe it was March 9th, was back working for 5 days, and then the world shut down. So I got to experience a little bit of baseball, but was definitely sad when it shut down. Soon after we were put into quarantine, a lot of our staff, we had to get them out of here quickly and back over the border before it closed. So normally we have a wrap-up time to wrap up spring training and whatnot, but people literally grabbed their stuff and left, booked flights, got back over the border. Soon after that, the border was closed and MLB announced a revised regular season. And Blue Jays found themselves playing regular season ball at Salem Field, the home of our AAA affiliate, Buffalo Bison. I'm not sure if any of you followed their journey there, but our super talented marketing and corporate partnership teams, along with BAM Productions, transformed Salem Field into a mini Rogers Center in just 2 weeks' time. What they were able to accomplish was absolutely amazing. And both the players and the staff were living and working together in a bubble atmosphere. So I know y'all are probably a little bit more familiar with it from the NBA and the NHL, but we had our own mini bubble in Buffalo to ensure the health and safety of our staff and our players. And our resilience and our drive led us to clinch a playoff spot in that 2020 season. So for a year of so much uncertainty for our team, we actually accomplished so much and we're so proud of them. So fast forwarded to 2021, February 2021, so a little over a year ago, we learned that we were able to host fans at TD Ballpark for the 21 spring training season. And then the guidelines and stipulations that came with that. So on February 12th, MLB released the revised spring training schedule. So we were put into potted teams. Originally, we had a normal schedule, a normal spring training schedule. We were playing all of the teams. There was travel involved. But due to health and safety reasons, MLB reshuffled that schedule so that we were playing in groups of pods. So we played the Yankees a lot, the Phillies a lot, so that we could cut down on travel and possible exposure. And then February 22nd, our ballpark went on sale with limited capacity pod seating for spring training. Pod seating is something that none of us at Blue Jays want to talk about anymore. But what it is groups of seating. So 2 or 4 seats potted together with 6 feet of social distancing around those seats so that we could create a safe environment. And in building out our ballpark, which we had planned for so long to have a full capacity, going back in time was fun and challenging. But we hope we don't have to do it again. And then on March 1st, we had we celebrated our Blue Jays spring training opening day in a socially distanced ballpark here. And we like to refer to that as opening day 1.0. We had several. In less than 4 weeks, our team was able to accomplish the unthinkable. Took our brand new renovated ballpark and transitioned it into a safe and socially distant space where our players, our staff, and our fans felt safe to play, work, enjoy the game of baseball. And some of you are probably wondering, how did we make that opening day 1.0 happen in such a short amount of time? Well, I'd be remiss to say, it wasn't just us. We had a lot of help from our friends. We listened. I want to thank the City of Dunedin and Pinellas County Health Department for keeping us informed with the most up-to-date COVID-19 news. We were tied into them every day, ensuring that we were following all of the local health and safety protocols. We collaborated. A big shout out to the Miami Dolphins, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Toronto Raptors, who openly and honestly shared their wins and recommendations in hosting fans at limited capacity during the global pandemic. So they were at the forefront of the sporting teams to really open their doors to fans in this limited capacity setting, and they were a wealth of knowledge and never hesitated to jump on the phone and chat with us. The Raptors obviously were in the same position as the Blue Jays, so we worked very closely with them in making sure that our messaging was similar, because we did want to represent Canada well and let them know that we were taking precautions and being safe. And it's because of them that we felt confident and proud that our players, fans, and staff would feel safe in our ballpark, and we were ready to open. We also created a safe space with the help of BAM Productions, and I know I mentioned them earlier in Buffalo. So For those of you that don't know BAM, most notable projects include the NHL outdoor games. So if you've seen those broadcasted where they turn a football field into an outdoor hockey arena, BAM is responsible for that. They also did the Super Bowl in Tampa, and they were also responsible for the Field of Dreams project this past season. And of course, the transformation of Salem Fields in Buffalo so that it was an MLB approved playing surface, stadium, etc. Last year. So their folks came down and helped us set up our ballpark. Let's see here. So some of the scope of their work, if any of y'all were here, you saw our ballpark looked a little bit different than it did in 2020. We had quite a bit of temporary tenting for our visiting team, outdoor dining, their clubhouse, our home team dining had to be outdoors. We had a cardio space that was outdoors, workrooms and more. We were following a very, very large MLB operations document that we had to have sign off on by the league in order to host games here. So us with BAM transformed our ballpark into that safe space. Additional things that they worked on, they reconfigured our grounds crew maintenance shop into the visiting team weight room. They constructed structures to serve dual purpose of displaying corporate partnerships and creating buffer zones to our player areas, such as the bullpen. So in order to pass, we had to create a buffer zone of 6 feet. I believe it was 18 feet high and 16 feet wide away from any area that our players were at. So you'd see zip-tied seats, you'd see structures, barricades, all sorts of different creative ways of keeping our players safe. And then this is kind of one of my favorite projects. We transferred 4 of our upstairs offices into a family lounge, featuring full protective netting. We have a beautiful kitchen, restroom, and a nursery. You may ask why a nursery. This year's team was young. We have a lot of up and coming players, and we had quite a bit of kids. So in total, we had 23 kids under the age of 10, most of them being 3 and under. Lots of babies as well. So part of the protocol was keeping our players and families safe. So we had to create an atmosphere that they were away from the public, but also felt like they were at home, since they were giving so much of their time to their significant others to be in this somewhat bubble. And we wanted to make it a fun and welcoming space that they would enjoy being here at the ballpark. Let's see where else. And then, in order to get it approved, we worked into the wee hours of the morning, submitting our ticketing plans with buffer zones and COVID policies for MLB approval. We finally got the go-ahead to play ball just a couple days before opening day. So it was a lot of work. If you asked any of us, I don't think we want to do it again, but we definitely learned quite a bit. And then toward the end of spring training, we started to plan and test in order to be ready to host regular season baseball in Dunedin. We knew that we were going to be hosting it, and so we used spring training as sort of a test field to make sure things were working. So some ways we did that, we adjusted a couple of our later spring training games to be night games so that we could test our 4 towers of Musco lights. So our stadium lights currently are not tall enough to meet MLB regulation lighting. So we brought in 4 Musco lighting trucks, which I'm sure you saw, into the ballpark to create that extra light. We piped in crowd noise to enhance the live broadcast, which if y'all, I don't think anyone's probably done this, but that is a very difficult job. And one of our Toronto staff members did it in Buffalo, and then he flew down to Dunedin to do it again. It's a very skilled job to have, that I'm sure Mr. Jeff, who took care of that, said never imagined he'd be doing crowd noise. We removed seats from the ballpark so we could reposition cameras. So all of these things so that it felt like regular season baseball. And our stadium looked like Rogers Center. So if you watch a broadcast, you can see that it's sometimes hard to tell where the Blue Jays are actually playing because we replicated what Rogers Center looked like. So Dunedin looked the same as Buffalo as Rogers Center, and that was one of our goals. And like I said, our CP team was able to replicate all the corporate partnership assets to reflect Rogers Center. And with that, we were able to recap the revenue from a partner standpoint with our broadcast facing assets. So that was really important to us. Once spring training was complete and the team went on the road to kick off regular season, our crew was busy again flipping the home clubhouse to a totally new look and feel. Regular season look and feel with quotes, encouragement for our team to keep getting better every day. No excuses. Obviously, we were in a different situation than any of the other 30 major league teams as we weren't playing at our home ballpark. And we actually had a special area with postcards and letters from home that fans could submit. We had a giant wall that our creative team posted so the players could see all the little touches that made them feel like home. Local businesses, all of you hung Blue Jay banners. Community members were supporting the Jays gear, and there was a true sense of pride in our town. And we just want y'all to know that we really felt that, and we're so thankful. Concurrent to regular season baseball being played in Florida, our single A affiliate team, the Dunedin Blue Jays, launched their season on the road, playing games at Steinbrenner, which is home of the Tampa Tarpons, and Baycare, home of the Clearwater Threshers, during the months of April and May. While the major league team was in town. So some of our staff were pulling double headers. We would have a regular season game and a minor league game right around the same time. So it's an interesting time for all of us. As the regular season progressed into the summer months, a decision was made to move back to Buffalo and Salem Fields. The weather played a huge part of that. It was starting to get hot. The rain was a little bit iffy. Around that time of year. And at that time, the snow had cleared in Buffalo, so it was safe to go back. And our team was there to make that happen. So together with our Toronto staff, we packed up TD Ballpark and we sent 12 moving trucks and 2 semi-trucks full of merchandise, tables, chairs, COVID signage, baseball equipment, office furniture, everything we could think of up to Buffalo. We basically had to outfit Buffalo to be our new home. So we took a lot of what we had here in the ballpark at TD Ballpark and sent it up to Buffalo. And then on June 1st, the Toronto Blue Jays hosted opening day 2.0 at Salem Field. So I guess it's actually 3.0 because we had our opening day for the Dunedin Blue Jays on the road. So we're at 3.0. And then in June 3rd, we opened our doors to our Dunedin Blue Jays fans for opening day 4.0. So there was a lot of moving parts, a lot of logistics, but we're super proud of the group. Some of the highlights from minor league season this year, after being away, we played at Jack Russell in 2019. We obviously didn't have a season in 2020. So being able to host our minor league, fans for 2021 was something we were really proud of. We had some beautiful fireworks shows. We hosted a Dennis Phillips bobblehead night with Dennis himself here. Ironically, 3 days after a hurricane was supposed to be in the area. We had 2 no-hitters by Trent Palmer and had 5 of our players named postseason All-Stars. So we're so proud of everything that they accomplished during this time of uncertainty, and we can't wait to have them back on the field again in 22. Promise I'm almost done. It was a long year for us. And on June 21st, the Toronto Blue Jays wrapped up their season in Buffalo. And I actually had the pleasure to go up to Buffalo to help transition the team out and back to Toronto. So we finished playing Boston that night on June 21st and immediately started packing the truck. So picture this in your mind. There's semi trucks and moving trucks everywhere. We had to pack a truck for the team to go on the road because they were getting ready to go on a away trip. We had trucks going to Toronto, so we were packing things up to send them back over the border to Toronto. And then we had trucks putting getting us to, or getting ready to put all the stuff on it to come back to TD Ballpark. So it was definitely a crazy process. We worked into the wee hours of the morning to get that done. And we got everything unloaded and out of there in less than 48 hours. So finally, back on July 30th, the Toronto Blue Jays were able to host opening day in Toronto at Rogers Centre, which was very emotional for a lot of, for everyone. I remember being in Buffalo when we got the word that they were actually going to get to go home, and, staff, players, I mean, there were tears. People were so happy. Some of these people hadn't been home in a very, very long time. We have one of our CC members who had bought a house, and he's like, I've spent more time in a hotel than I have in my new house. So, you could really feel the sentiment of everyone wanting to get back across the border. So with that, I know it was a little long-winded, kind of a crazy recap, but I just wanted y'all to know, behind the scenes, we were working diligently every day, to make sure that our environment here and all the places we played was safe for both our players, our staff, and our fans. And throughout this whole process, safety was our number one priority. So I hope that if you had a chance to be in our ballpark, you felt that, and you'll continue to feel that into 2022. So thank you again for opening your arms to our players and their families and our staff, and making everyone's extended time in Dunedin feel like home. We truly appreciate it. So without further ado, I will kick it over to Shelby, and he will share some exciting news with y'all.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. If you don't know Kathy, she's been on our team here since before me, and she's been just such a valuable member of our organization, and excited that I got to listen to a little bit more from her. So as Kathy said about people going back into their homes, I've lived here since October of 2008, and the longest I've probably been away from Toronto to see family and friends, I think was about 8 months. Since COVID, I have not been back to Toronto since September of 2019, which is really crazy and weird for me not to be able to go back. I've been fortunate that my family has come here, or my parents have come here, but because of the border restrictions and other things, I've not been able to go back and see a lot of my friends and other family members. So, it's just been a wild couple of years. And as Kathy also mentioned, I was a Toronto, I used to be a Toronto Raptors season ticket holder. I have friends that were Toronto football club season ticket holders, and I never would have thought that last year I got to see opening day of the Toronto Blue Jays, opening day of the Toronto Raptors, and opening day of the Toronto MLSC team here in Florida. Crazy year to do that. Tampa, I guess, was the new Toronto for a year. It was definitely a crazy time. I want to thank everyone from the city, as Kathy has already done, but going through this process and getting a bunch of approvals to be able to do things, as Kathy mentioned, the stadium lighting, we added all new lights, and then added 4 more poles, and School Curtis Fundamental was amazing for us. They were able to help us a lot because we needed to utilize some of their space and some of their land to be able to put those lights up. And they were nothing more, they were extremely accommodating, helping us out as we were trying to navigate through this process. So from them, from our Park and Rec team and Vince and Jorge, being able to help us out in certain areas, and then going all the way to the City Commission, that's been just great. Great partnership that we've grown over the years. I'm still trying to get that first contract for Commissioner Tornga. For some reason, the baseball ops team hasn't quite worked with me on that, but it's been a really great partnership. And I even see Paul Stanek on here, who's able to help us through a problem that we had from a water side here as we were going through and doing some renovations. So everybody has been just amazing with the city and being really supportive as we've gone through some crazy times. I was just giving kind of a quick update from a player development complex perspective. as we had those things at the stadium, within Major League Baseball, we also had to create what was called an alt site. So worried that players might get COVID, both for their safety and also, spreading it. We had I think it was the Florida Marlins or Miami Marlins that, didn't have enough players to play. We had to create an alt site. So within our player development complex here, we actually closed off and created an own little bubble here, where we weren't allowed to interact with those players. They were in their own little area at the player development complex. So again, the city helped us. We were able to use our old Cecil Engelbert complex and use that space in addition. So, and our Dunedin Blue Jays actually used that as their home clubhouse while we didn't have a home for them. So we were utilizing this space here. Minor league spring training happened well after Major League spring training, and just a complete different scenario that everybody is obviously used to. But we were really fortunate to have the amount of space here that we did. As we go into it, and as we talk about 2022, obviously there's, for those that know, there's a lockout right now. Can't really talk much about that. I don't have any more information than what you're going to see in the media. I do know one thing, we want spring training to start as soon as we can, and look forward to having, everyone here and others in the city at our spring training games. But just continue to listen into the reports and hope to have everyone here soon. But to keep in mind, and we were talking about the hotel earlier, we started early spring training here at our player development complex actually 2 days ago. We have, to understand the magnitude of how many people we have in town, we already have 60 players here. We have over 30 rehab players here. We have, I think it's 58 coaches that are already in-house and starting to get ready for the 2022 season. And that doesn't include the office staff and executive and other things that are here at the player development complex. So we're in full force. We are getting ready for their official start date from a minor league spring training perspective, which would be on the 28th, and March the 4th, where we'll have, another 100+ people coming in and getting ready for the season, getting ready to, join the Dunedin Blue Jays, the, New Hampshire Fisher Cats, the Vancouver Canadians, and Buffalo Bisons. And then we have an actual team that's also here at the player development complex that, is called our Florida Complex League team. We, as Kathy was mentioned, the Toronto Blue Jays had to move, and the Dunedin Blue Jays had to move. Almost all of our teams were moving last year. The Buffalo Bisons had to go find a new home in Trenton for a short period of time. Well, for a few months of the season, they had to move. The New Hampshire Fisher Cats were the only team of our minor league organization that actually got to stay in their home. The Dunedin Blue Jays were out for 2 months. And then you had the Vancouver Canadians that were in the exact same situation as the Toronto Blue Jays. They couldn't get into the country, so they were utilizing another home. So the amount of work that our Toronto and legal and all the different organizations had to do, or all different departments here had to do, was just it was a crazy year. Lots of learning. Nothing could phase us now after going through that year. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the hotel and kind of the reasons and why we have it. I think it's, I appreciate the commission yesterday, approving the developmental agreement and starting, the process or continuing the process of getting this thing built. It was really important to us as an organization that we, had our players stay locally, spend money at the hotel, spend money at the restaurants, spend money at, all around town. So this was the area of land that we were able to get and to utilize, and excited to have, our 68 rooms and our minor league players staying there. This is about our younger, minor league players, staying locally, keeping them near our facilities. Most of it will be busing back and forth. I would say, most of our players at that age and that group do not have their own cars. It's a bus system. At some point, if I would have started at 7:30, would have seen the buses coming in this morning that arrive at 7:30 here. So early buses in, early buses out, to be able to take our players back and forth. But it's going to be a huge help. Right now, our players are staying all over the place. We have, between the hotel and then the Holiday Inn to the Hampton Inn to a few hotels in Oldsmar to get the number of hotel rooms that we need for the number of players that are here. So, we have a certain agreement with the developer that we'll be staying there, most of the year and taking up most of their rooms most of the year and needing them for our players and a few for the staff too, to make sure that they're near the players and provide them the support that they need. We'll have food for them. We'll have it all set up, and we're super excited to get this thing going. Get the construction on hand. But yes, it's still a process to get the approvals from what the look and the feel is. But we feel like we're pretty far down that road, and hopefully everyone likes what the architect and everyone has put together. So that was really my part. I appreciate inviting us again onto this meeting, and we enjoy being able to tell the group of what the Blue Jays are up to, and look forward to a great 2022.
Great. Thank you, Kathy and Shelby. Any questions? Thoughts or comments from the audience?
Shelby, do you want to talk about any of your players that you're really looking for some great results from, or you don't want to do that today?
I mean, I think if you look at our team last year, and Kathy mentioned it, we got a young and up incoming team, and actually also makes some of us feel a lot older because it's a lot of our favorite players now, kids that are playing. So, between Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette, and many others. I mean, it's, we had a great year. As Kathy said, no excuses from last year, but we were one game away from making it in the playoffs. One game. I can tell you on the last day of the season, and the Rays tried to do us a favor. They beat the Yankees too, and they couldn't get the sweep. But I had 3 TVs going up in a room watching baseball, which was exciting until it just all came apart at one point. The Red Sox were down by 3, and then they went on I think it was the 8th inning. At the same time, the Yankees took the lead against the Rays, and it was a somber time for it was my son and I watching the games. But we had 3 different homes, and people don't realize the challenge that our team had to go through to not have a house and not have to continue to move and to move and to move. It's living out of a suitcase is a challenge, but they fought hard and they played hard and they won. And we expect another great season of a really, really talented, but I would say a fun baseball team to watch, something exciting as we're going through it. So I think it's just as a whole, we made a great free agent signing at Gosman from the Giants. That was number 2, I believe, in the Cy Young Award, winning in the National League. So we're really excited about the team that we're going to put out here. A lot of good players. Just got to get past the Tampa Bay Rays, man. I know everyone kind of struggles, but even when they were the Devil Rays, the Jays always struggled against that team. It was crazy, but and I'll tell you, for those that came to the game, it was a challenge when we played the Rays at TD Ballpark. I mean, I don't think there was a Rays fan that came to our ballpark that didn't say this is a great place to watch a game. I mean, they just smaller facility and whatnot, but that was our last 4 games this season was against the Rays. If they could have let us just win one of those, that would have been helpful.
Thank you, Shelby.
Yep, thank you. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you, Kathy and Shelby, for taking the time to be here and to give us such a thorough update. It was amazing what you all have gone through the whole pandemic time, but even just the stretch of the last year. So appreciate the good work. And I know the Dunedin community appreciates the partnership that we have.